Hey everybody, welcome back to This Old Trike. Today we are picking up from WheelerPalooza 2025, a vintage event that I hold at my property. We had over 325 people here. I brought all the machines out, put them on display for everyone, and this field behind me was filled just 24 hours ago with all these people. But since we had this occasion, I figured it was a proper time to go through all the machines since they're laid out nicely. And I've done a video talking about all the years and models that they made them. I think today I'm just going to want to do a quick walkthrough, hit some high spots, and tell you maybe where they came from. If one sticks out as being special, I think that might be neat to do. So let's turn the camera around and get going. So this is my pole barn, and this is where I keep all my goodies. And it takes a little bit of Trike Tetris. If you're familiar with the channel, you're familiar with that game. If you're watching this channel, it's good odds that you have a collection yourself. So you're used to trying to fit all these triangle machines and some of these rectangle machines into a defined space. So this is where I keep most of my machines. These are the sport machines and the early US 90s. I have a bunch of US 90s in the other room. We'll get to those, but when it comes to US 90s, if you want information, I've done videos on almost every model there is, so you can see what the differences are. So I'm not going to get into that today, but just real quick, walking through the years, we got 74, 72, 73, 70, 71. And if you wonder what that means, go to those videos. But we got summer yellow, parrot green, bright red, Aquarius blue, Tahitian red, mighty green, and Daytona orange. These are what are known as balloon tire 90s because of the tires that came on them from Honda. You can't get these anymore. People ask, where do you find your tires for your machines? Well, these you can't get anymore. You have to find them new old stock and pay up for them, or you have to find machines with good tires on them. And that is kind of hard to do. And when you find them, you want to keep them off the ground, because if they fail on you, it's heartbreaking. Ask me how I know. Anyway, some of these were local. Some of these were found at a distance. This one was bought locally, about 30 minutes away. This one I think I had to go to Vermont for. This one my buddy had down in Pennsylvania. This one was in my hometown. And then I think that's the first or second one I got. This one's from a close buddy about 45 minutes away, but I think he got it from Michigan. This one came from Ohio. And this one came from Western Pennsylvania. There is no honey hole that I'm aware of that you can just find, you know, a secret stash of Hondas or three-wheelers in general, vintage machines, whatever you want to say. But that's where it all started, with the ATCs, with the US 90s, and 90s turned into 110s, and 110s turned into 125s, and they brought on the 185S and 200s and so on and so forth. This is the king of the hill, the 85 350X. 350X, we all know, because you've watched my videos, our 2-year only machine. 85 was all red, well, red with a white tank, blue seat, and the 86 turns white. Those are I guess they're all in there. Anyway, this unit came to me from a buddy of mine. He had it in his collection. It was restored by a different buddy that lives locally here, and was on display at a dealership in Coxsackie, New York for a period of time. But now it lives here at my collection. Here we have our 84 250R and the 83 250R with a 300 kit and a Honda line fairing. The 300 kit was a Honda line option. The regular 250 jug looks like this. The 300 jug is a big beefy boy. So adds 50 cc's as the name implies, and it's a whole lot of power. This one, where'd this one come from? New Jersey. Bought this in 2018. Out of a collection down there, a guy was selling, and this was one of those machines, and I've held on to it since. This one came from Western Pennsylvania. Bought it as you see it, with these big beefy tires that I wouldn't put on it, and I do want to put tires on it to make it look more factory. Serwa Tires makes replicas for the 250SX, and they would look pretty similar to what would have come stock on this. And Duro, I believe, makes a front tire that's very similar to the stock tire, but pretty neat looking machine. My buddy Curdy Eldridge, 223 Cycles, he's a carb guy. Get all your carb needs from Curdy at 223 Cycles. He took this out on the mud flats last year. We did a video on that. It was a good time. This is my newest 86 350X. You might go, well, it's got a red front fender. What's going on here? It actually had a red rear fender when I bought it. But if you know all the differences, you can tell it's an 86. And if you're wondering what the differences are, I've made a video for that, so check it out. This one came from California. I went out to Glamis back in the spring. I was looking for a frame so I could make a 350X and 86 out of spare parts that I have, and I happened to buy a whole machine. So, and these are Serwa reproduction 350X tires, so you get that proper tread look, and they're the best reproductions out there. SerwaTires.com. Google it and you'll find them. 86 350X is my favorite machine, so I have a few of them. This 86, I got to get my bearings right. This one came from my local buddy, same guy that had that, same guy that had the red US 90, about 45 minutes away. Nice server. No, wrong. This one came from Ohio. This is John's machine. A buddy of mine, John, reached out. We met on Instagram and sold me a bunch of spare parts to begin with, and then 2 years later, he sold me this and a 250R. The 250R has gone on to a buddy of mine's collection, but this remains. Now look how proper the OEM style tires looks versus this whole shot looking tire. So these rims are really, really nice. So what I'm going to do, I have a set of new old stock Oats PV, where are they? 701s to put on these, and those might go on my nicest 350X, which is down there. This is the one. Nope, this I've owned twice. We call these boomerang bikes. This has been purchased and sold and purchased back, and I did a light restoration on it. I wouldn't even say it's a restoration. It was just a cleanup. And I sold it to my buddy Jim, and then he sold it back to me. So thank you, Jim, for that. But I still think the one down here, we'll jump over these two to get to this one. It's a little dusty. There's a lot of dust from the event today. This is why I want to put some new old stock on this. And these tires are the same tires that would be on a second gen 200X. So maybe I put those tires on something else. I don't know. They don't have a ton of tread left, but they're original. And when you collect, originality is the name of the game. How original can you have it? If you don't collect and you think that's stupid, hey, this ain't the channel for you, man. Go click on something else. This one came from my local buddy, and he had it for a long time. I think he bought it from a guy that was a truck driver. There was a cool story to it, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 86 350Xs. This one's going to become my rider, so that's going to be fun. All right, 86 200X. This one also came from New Jersey. Same acquisition as that second gen 84 250R. This is one of the most pristine machines I have. And if you want to get some detailed views of it, you can go to my 200X comparison video. This is second gen, first year of the second gen. They really took a leap forward in design when they did this. Square tube frame, pretty neat machine. And the last year 200X is the 87. Now, these are harder to find. These have a keyed ignition. It's not electric start, but you need to have the key to start it. And some subtle differences to it. Obviously, you know, cosmetic, red scoop, white scoop. We do all the differences in different videos, so check those out. Red swing arm, not a fan of the red swing arm. Don't know why they did that, but they didn't consult me as a 7-year-old when these things came out. Sometimes you'll see headlight guards on these. Honda line offered a lot of headlight guards, and there were some aftermarket headlight guards, so I try to get them when I can. And I have some spares sitting around that I need to put on some of these machines. They're almost naked without them. Oh, where'd the 87 come from? New Jersey, nope. Connecticut. My buddy Vinny helped me acquire that. And while it was in his possession, you know, you got to count on your good buddy to mess with you a little bit. He did some donuts in the warehouse of the bread mansion where he works. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know I'm probably not going to explain. Let's talk about these. These are not new old stock. These are reproductions from John McWorth. And he was here at my event this weekend and blessed me with a few of those, hung them on some of my nicer machines. So this being one of them, it's an 84 200X that came from my local buddy that I got a bunch of machines from this guy. That one, same local buddy. 85 200X. This came from Western Pennsylvania. It's got some Oakley grips on it. I've tried to get them off. I don't want to destroy them. I'm having a hard time, so I'm just letting them be for the time being. Super clean machine. Super clean machine. I don't ever ride these. Well, I've ridden them, but I don't ever sink them in a mud hole. And if you don't like that, again, not the channel for you. 81 250R, 82 250R. The 82 needs some love. This is how I bought it. I restored the tank, and I think I put some decals on those fenders. And I've had to source the parts that it's missing. Those parts that I sourced have not ended up on this machine. So this one came from Wisconsin. Didn't have the fairing on it. I got the fairing from Binky Tapscott. He's the largest three-wheeler collector in the world and has the best collection. And I got that fairing from him. Machine came from Wisconsin. This one came locally from a buddy. And it's funny, he bought parts off this not knowing that the guy was parting it out, and sold them afterwards, and realized once he ended up buying this machine that the parts that it was missing were the ones he technically owned and sold. These are considered first gen 250Rs. Air-cooled, as are the 83 and 84, air-cooled. But in 1985, the third gen gets the liquid-cooled motor, 6 speeds, both 85 and 86. Super duper awesome machines. This one I bought from a guy named Chris down in Texas, and I had to have it shipped up. You know, you can't build a collection just buying out of your backyard. Sometimes you got to have them shipped over from Texas. Sometimes you got to buy them from your buddy up in Maine who got them from California. This one has motor work done by Clem Research. I believe that's a Clem Research pipe. Pretty slick unit. My buddy Mitch sold this to me. I appreciate that, Mitch. He wanted to buy it back this weekend. I wouldn't let him because I'm mean. But got a good deal on that back in the day. And this 86 came from a local buddy's collection. I bought a lot of machines from him, all in one fell swoop, and this was one of them. This was not restored, but deep detailed by the same guy that did that 85 350X, that I bought the 82 250R from. He's done a few machines that are in my collection. His name's Pat Farnham, great restoration guy. And he made that thing look like $1 million. This one, I don't know if you know much about conversions. This is not a BVC. BVC is a great company, and they are the easiest way to have a modern three-wheeler. You can buy pretty much any dirt bike, and they've got a kit for it where you can change the swing arm, get you 2 wheels out the back, widen your triple trees so you can have a fat front tire, and then you can do that. This is not that. This is a TPC. And I won't trash talk the guy that owns TPC, but All I know is there's a lot of people that have sent him money and a machine to convert, and they don't have it back. I don't know. That's all I know. I don't know any other details. I wouldn't want to be somebody that sends that guy a lot of money and doesn't have a machine to show for it. I bought this from my buddy. Well, I bought it from a local collector who bought it from my buddy Ryan Cogswell. This started life as a 2007 TRX 450ER. So now it is a electric start 450 three-wheeler. If you're wondering what the water on the ground is, all these things got super dusty. So my wife is helping me rinse these off and get them wiped down before we put them back in the barn. I'm not going to pan too far to the right because she might not want to be on camera right now. That's being respectful, guys. Be respectful to your wives, right? Good. 1985 ATC 250R. This one I've owned since 1997. It was bought locally. I restored it in high school, and I just recently restored it again, a second time. There's a whole video series on that. And I had the awesome opportunity to go with my buddy Tim Keister and his brother and a bunch of other friends out to Glamis. And I got to ride this in California in the Glamis Dunes, and it was freaking magical. So I do recommend highly. This one's from my local buddy that I bought a lot of his collection from. This is it's an 85 250R frame with an 86 motor. It's a mix mosh, but this has a short track tank on it. So that kind of makes it neat. It's the tank, it's the radiator brackets, and it's the lower triple makes you, well, let's just do it this way. You can turn wicked fa. If you're from Boston, you'd say wicked fa. So if you're doing flat track, that's an ideal setup to have for that. Very cool machine, rider quality. I enjoy riding that, it's fun. Let's move on to the mullet of the three-wheeler world, the ATC 250 SX. If you want to haul a deer out of the woods, but still, have something to ride to the party, you get yourself a 250 SX. They made them in 1985, 86, and 87. This one I went over to New Hampshire. No, not New Hampshire, Rhode Island. Whatever the Rhode Island accent is, insert that here. This one has a front rack, Honda line front rack. There's a lot of non-Honda line racks available, like CMP and things like that. Headlight guard, speedometer setup. I like these when they have rear racks like this one. The only unfortunate thing is you have to drill holes to put a rear rack on, and then those fenders are committed to having that rear rack. But I've got a spare rear rack, and I'm thinking I might put it on this. That's an 87 last year, hardest to get, but I would say almost equally as hard as the 86. These are probably the most desirable. That tank color scheme, blue seat, white tank with the blue decals, I would say is the most sought after. This one's got a Meyer front fender. It's got servo reproduction tires on it. Nice unit, rider quality, but I'd like to take it to rider quality plus, something a little bit nicer. Where'd this one come from? Locally, Rome, New York-ish. And this one was brought to me. I traded a 350X. The guy brought me this plus some cash, and we traded for a 350X. So no front rack on this one, no headlight guard, just the rear rack. So a couple different configurations here. Now let's talk about the 200cc Big Reds. So there's 5 of them here. They're all different. And some of these are weird, okay? That's your disclaimer. We're going to start with the first year. This is my 82. I got this from up in northern New York, near Champlain, New York. And it's a nice unit. It was really clean. It's not perfect. A lot of these aren't perfect. They're survivor quality, and I try not to buy something that needs restoration. It's just easier to buy them nice. You got to pay up a little bit, but it's worth it. So this one came from Champlain up there, and it's a 200E Big Red. This is important information. Okay, 200E Big Red. I don't think the seat's on right, but you see it says Big Red right there. Okay, and then in 83, this is chain drive. In 83, it's still chain drive, and it's still a Big Red. Very subtle differences year to year. So 83 Big Red. So this one came from down in the Catskills. Would you believe it if I told you I got this Big Red for free? Didn't look like this exactly. I found proper tires for it. Those are original tires to this machine, but not this exact machine. It's the correct tire for this machine. And I had to clean the car, put a battery in it. And that's essentially what I did to it. It had the basket on it. And the guy was selling this camp, and this was in the camp. I had to drag it up on my truck because the tires were dry rotted and falling off it. And that's how I got this machine. Now this is one of the weirdo ones. This is the one everyone knows. This is the 84 200 ES Big Red. See it? Okay. This is an 84 also, 200E. This one was not sold in the US. So if you're in the US and you're wondering what the heck's going on, 82 chain drive, 83 chain drive, 84 chain drive, 84 shaft drive. And this isn't a Big Red. This is just a 200E, and you might notice the reflectors. This was imported from Finland. I had to make a buddy in Finland. His name's Risto, and he helped me get this. And we shipped it over. We shipped it to a guy in the Netherlands, my buddy Nick. Nick put it in a crate and shipped it over here. There's a whole video series on the restoration of that. It wasn't this nice. This is not a full restoration. It's kind of a cleanup style restoration, but it's an interesting tale on that one. Check it out. This is an 84 Big Red. I think these were government issue. Everybody's dad or grandfather had one of these back in the 80s. This is the most mass-produced three-wheeler there is, period. Shaft drive, high-low reverse. Everything that I've mentioned has high-low, but reverse was not factory on those. This has high-low reverse. First Honda to have that. And this is what I grew up on. And then there's this. You might think, why did I put 85 decals on a 200 ES? Because they were only made in 1984. Well, I used to believe that too, and then I learned that they made them in 1985, also in limited numbers. This one came from England. They were also available in Canada. These were not available in North America, and I have put money out there trying to find somebody to prove me wrong, and nobody has. So if you can show me one of these in Canada, I'll send you something. I don't know what it is, but prove me wrong. This is one of two in the US. This, as far as I know, is one of one in the US. I've never seen another 85 200 ES in the US. All machines pre-85 were downshift. So this 200 ES is upshift. So just pretty interesting. You see the reflectors too. US didn't need reflectors, but every other place did apparently. And this is a speedometer. I try to deck them out with some jewelry, some Honda line options when I can. And you'll see these on a few of these machines. Baskets, boxes on some of my other Big Reds. Let's move on to my 70s. Okay, just going through what's here. I'm not going to belabor these, but these are kind of lined up in order. They're not all here though, so I'll skip where I need to. 1973 ATC 70. This is an interesting story real quick. It came from New Jersey and it looked like trash. It was spray painted red. It really was a nasty looking machine. It was sold to a guy in Massachusetts who had it shipped to a restoration guy, Travis Gisclair, DNA Restorations, down in Louisiana. He restored it. It got shipped back up to the guy in Massachusetts, Nick, who sold it to my buddy, Chad Bennett, who ended up raffling it, and then I bought it from the guy who won the raffle. Fun story. So that came from New Jersey. This 73 came locally from the same guy that I got my 74 US 90 that you saw like 30 minutes away. It needs some love, and it'll eventually get that love, but not in the foreseeable future. 74 ATC 70 from down in New Jersey. A lot of these I got I purchased with some help from my friends. So this one, I sent a friend of mine money. He went and picked it up for me, and I had to grab it from him. A 78 ATC 70. This came out of Albany, New York area a couple years ago. This one came from my buddy Ryan Cogswell, the same one that did the that TPC, that conversion that you saw. He owned both of these at one point. This 82 ATC 70. So we've skipped the 1980 and 81. I'll explain. This 82 came out of Western New York. Bought it with a trailer full of mini bikes. And a lot of those went down the road, but this one stayed. This one came out of a barn about 40 minutes away. A nice 83 ATC 70 Survivor. This 84, where did he come from? I think that came from the New Jersey deal I've mentioned. That 200X came from there, the 250R that I mentioned. This Christmas special came from Texas. This was a funny story. I got a work buddy that lives down in Texas, and he went and picked it up for me. It went to where I work. There's a sister facility down in Texas, and it got shipped up from there. So nice, respectable machine, but not as nice as this one, which came out of Maine. And this is, I wouldn't say it's 10 out of 10, but it's 9 point something out of 10 as far as Survivor. Nice machine. So I'm super happy to have this. And it sits in a clone of a Honda trailer. These trailers are made by Dan Henning. If you're interested in one, you can. I did a whole video on it. Find that video and check him out. Really cool builds, and they are clones of the actual Honda trailers that were available in Canada only. So Honda didn't make these, but they contracted a company to make them. They were based in Canada. The company was called Honda Canada Inc. And they're really hard to get. So this one came out of Montreal. And it is holding my 1985 ATC 70 that I bought at Trike Fest 2019 from a nice guy from Ohio. So that's where that came from. And this 1980 came from Western New York. My buddy Mike went and picked that up for me. So if you're wondering, how do I know where all these came from? They're like little children, three-wheeled children. And you got to know where your children are from, right? Right. Okay. So this is my 1985 ATC 350X Rider. I know it's got white plastics on it. Don't drop down in the comments and say, no, that's an 86. It's got white fenders. No, actually, I know what I'm talking about. I put 86 fenders on it. Thanks for being mindful of and trying to keep a true and accurate record. That's important. We like to do that around here. This has got some mods on it. It's got a webcam and 400EX carb and kibble white valve springs and a head pipe made by Sam Harkabusik. They are pretty darn nice. They're a 400EX head pipe that is modified to fit on the machine. And this used to be my go-to rider, but then I was blessed to have a son who is interested in three-wheelers and has promising skills and abilities, and I asked if he could kickstart this, and he kickstarted it on the first try. So I knew I was in trouble. And ever since that day, I haven't ridden this one much. It's been his. So I'm really happy at that. And that's why that other 350X in the other room, I'm going to make that into my rider. Let's see. We've got some hardtails and some suspended big reds coming up. We've got a 1980 ATC 185. Oh, where did this one come from? This one came from about an hour away up in Johnsburg, New York. Nice guy. Adam sold it to me. This one, 1980 185. In 1980, this was the big dog. This is the biggest displacement three-wheeler you could buy from Honda, and I think from anybody. So it's just pretty funny. It is orange. Your eyes do not deceive you. Daytona orange. 185 cc's. It is not a 185S. It is just a 185. No letter, as these sometimes are referred to. And so are these. These are all no letters right here. This one came from my buddy Joe Whalen, who bought it. He didn't realize it, but he bought it out from under me from a guy in the Catskills. And I ended up having to wait him out and buy it from him. So That was cool. We brought it home. Round headlight, last year of the round headlight. In 1981, they went to a rectangular headlight, and it's a 200cc, but essentially the same machine, just a little bit bigger displacement and red fenders. The chassis is the same. This is a good time to talk about, 81, 82. 81 has the white, 82 has the blue. There's little tricks you can use to remember the tank decals and what year they're associated with. You can't necessarily trust that somebody didn't put an 81 tank on an 82 machine or an 83 tank on an 81 machine. So this one came from Rhode Island. Drove down there before work one morning and brought it home, about 3.5 hours away. This 82 came from Syracuse, New York, and it's a nice little machine. These aren't super desirable because they're hardtails, they're bouncy. They didn't get suspension until 83 ATC 200. This one came from near Poland, New York. Coldbrook, I think, is where it came from. That's a Honda line rack on the rear, but the front rack is a CMP. And what does CMP stand for? Cambridge Metals and Plastics. So better than nothing, but they kind of look derpy in my opinion. And my buddy Corey Baker gave me a rack this very morning, a new old stock rack to put on this thing. So we're going to be getting that off and maybe rehoming it. I don't know. We'll see. So those are the last years of the 200 no letters. Made them 3 years, 81, 82, 83. Then we get into the big reds, the 250 big reds. So 85 was the first year. And this one has been in the family since it was new. This one was bought by my Uncle Dean back in 85. And it had a rough life, being the loaner machine up at my cousin's camp, basically, and where he lives now. And went into hibernation sometime around 2000, and we dragged it out around 2017. And we refer to my Uncle Dean as Bubba, so I had some custom decals made from DDR Slap that said Big Bubba on it, and put some 25s on it. I think I got 25s on it. I don't think they're 27s. No, they're 27s. Stock is 25. So it's a rider, and these are kind of stiff tires. It's not even a fun rider. I'd like to kind of go through it once more and make it a little more friendly. Swamp Outlaw, let's talk about that. Makes some awesome kits. He makes a kit where you can lift it up 2 inches, I think, and it's like a nice plug and play kit that you can put on. This 85 is all original. Beauty machine. It's got a Honda line box on the front. We've had it in a couple parades. That's why some of these you see with pinwheels and flags on them. So people call me greedy that I don't share my machines, and I should sell them so somebody can beat up on them and sink them in a mud hole. But I do share them in these lovely videos and in various parades around my town and in other areas. So 85, 86, 87. This 85 I bought in New Jersey, part of that New Jersey deal you've heard me mention. And then I traded it for a 86 125M to my buddy Pat Farnham. And then Pat Farnham sold it to my buddy Toby, and then my buddy Toby sold it to me. So it's made its way around the block, if you know what I mean. But while Pat Farnham owned it, he made it look even nicer than it was when I sold it to him. This 86 is pretty darn nice, and it came from a collector who was selling out in Pennsylvania. I bought 4 machines from him on a Super Bowl Sunday, and I think this is the only one I have left of them. And it's beautiful. It didn't have the box on it. It had the headlight guard, but pretty cool find. These headlight guards are OEM, and I've loaned one to a guy who makes reproductions, and that's why this one's naked right now. And I just reminding myself I got to get a hold of him and see where we're at so I can put the guard back on this. This is my 87. This was bought down in the Catskills from the guy who bought it from the original owner, and the original owner did not want to lose it. So he went to the extent of carving his name and social security number in the side cover. He's dead though, so don't be trying to steal anything and steal identity. If you do that, you're a scumbag, all right? Okay, cool. Nice 87 though. Some people think that's the last year of the Big Red, but it's not. And I'll talk more about that when we get into my shop. But next, let's talk about some 200Ss. We'll go in order. We'll spend one brief moment on this guy who's kind of listing to the starboard side. This is not mine. This is going to that guy Binky, the biggest collector that's out there. And he was going to make it to the event yesterday. He had some unfortunate circumstances, couldn't get here. And now it's been left with me, and we got to figure out how to get it to him. That's just a note, by the way. This is an 84 200S. So they started out as the 185S. They did a little design change, and the 185S turned into the 200S. So this is an 84. Came from about 45 minutes south of me, farm country. This is an 85 200S. This one came from about 45 minutes north of me, kind of getting into the Adirondack Mountains. This 86 200S came from Connecticut, and my buddy Vinny helped me get this one too, and I'm pretty sure he did wheelies. I might have scuffed up my grab bar in the process. I don't know. Shouldn't trust that guy. But 86s were the only ones that had the blue seat, and I think they looked the best. Unfortunately, my blue seat has a little dog ear rip in it. Looks good though from the other side. Honda Line rack on the front. This is not a Honda Line basket. That's an Arctic Cat snowmobile basket that's kind of been made to fit on the front of that. But what preceded the 200S was the 185S. First year was 1981. So let's go back. 1980, 185 has a bigger chassis. The 185S is a little bit smaller. So it is my theory, and it is not proven, I'm guessing, that perhaps the S in 185S is small, referring to the chassis. That's all I got. That's the best I got. I don't think it's sport, because what's sporty about a non-suspended small displacement three-wheeler? A lot of people say, oh, it's sport, but I don't agree. So 1981, 1982, where'd this one come from? Down near Binghamton. Had to go down and pick it up from a guy. This 82, where did it come from? Think. I'll come back to it. This 83, this is when they got suspension in the front. Still, I wouldn't classify it as sporty. This came from Cape Cod, and the guy came out to me and delivered it. I traded it even up for an 86 Big Red that was not perfect, but it was neat. It was fairly good condition. That's my son on the four-wheeler you hear in the background, so don't worry too much about him. This one, yes. I remember now. My buddy Adam up in Johnsburg sold me that cool 85 350X. He's the one who sold me this. I had to wait him out. He wouldn't sell it to me right away, but eventually it became for sale. And this 83 is pretty cool. I got this from a former teacher whose husband had passed away, and eventually this was available to be purchased. And she reached out to me wondering if I knew anybody, and I did. I knew myself, and I brought that one home. This one is a 1986 125M. These are second gen 125Ms. And I think the carb on our four-wheeler needs to be cleaned. He's struggling a little bit. So 86, 87. I have two 86s. This one came from my buddy down in Albany. He traded me. I had a 1969 QA50 that he wanted. And so he, about the third time he twisted my arm to do the trade, I did it. And I've done a couple things to it to make it a little bit nicer. But I eventually came off that QA50, and I guess I'm okay with that. This one's a really nice one. I already told you I traded that 85 Big Red for it a while ago. And it's really nice. And my buddy Pat Farnham had it. And I've let it get really dusty. We did a lot of work around here. What is this? My buddy Jeff had a good time with these name plaques at my event, so I'm slowly discovering them on different things. Yeah, so this one was bought locally. This one was bought about 3 hours north of me for $300. This is one of the hardest three-wheeler models to find, an 87 125M, even though it doesn't say M on the tank. These are 86 fenders. They shouldn't even have that decal there. But this one was kind of rough. Got it for $300, and I've redone the tank and painted the rims and done a couple things, but haven't gone all the way with it. Here's some other machines. Why don't we go real quick through these, just super fast. We got a 110 under here that is going to be a giveaway at some point. It was bought with Honda Hoarder Kids Fund money, so I got to get that running so we can give it away. 2007 TRX 90 that I bought for the kids when they were little. My son still beats up on it every once in a while. 83 200X rider quality. This one came out of Mass, over near Lee, Mass. This one came out, this one I traded a snowmobile trailer for to a guy locally. So that's how I got that one. This one came out of Maryland, I believe. I think. I've got a wall of machines here. I put my 90s up on the shelf. I used to have all my 70s up there. I still got an extra 73 out of New Jersey up there. But there's another 74, 72, 73, and these are 70, 71s there. This is cool. I'm not going to go through all this stuff. We're getting pretty long-winded here. This is a, I forget what year this is, 78, 90? It's got some bling on it. I might do something with it someday. But they went from the balloon tires down to these. So this is a 75, 90, a 76, 90, a 77, 90. 78 90, a 79 110. They switched in 79. This is 1980 110, round headlight. Then they went to an 81, a rectangular headlight. 82 110, 83 110, second gen. They changed the design. 84, 85, and then in 84, they made a 125M and also an 85. And if you remember my talk on the Big Red, this is downshift, this is upshift. So anytime you have a collection, you got to ride something, you got to wait, what year is it? And then you get your bearing straight, and then you can know which way to shift. But let's see. Do I remember where they all came from? Can I do it quickly? Trike Fest, bought it from Mitch. That's the one from Vermont. No, that's the local one. I forget. That one came from Western New York. That one came from the tree line of a local farm. It was given to me for free. That one came from Western Pennsylvania. That one came from over near Lake George. And that one came from New Hampshire. This guy came from Western Pennsylvania. This guy came from Eastern New York. This guy came from Vermont. This guy came from my buddy Toby. That one came from western part of my county. This one came from over in Western New York. That was from a local buddy. That was from Virginia. This was a local trade. This one was on that trailer deal that I mentioned. Or was it this one? That was a New Jersey deal, trailer deal. Guy in Vermont. And my buddy Derek got that one from a guy named near Binghamton. Anyway, are we going fast enough? Let's go faster. 200M from Albany, New York, 85, upshift. 200M from the New Jersey deal, downshift. 84 110. From the New Jersey deal, 84 110 with a blue Honda line fairing from my buddy Tyler in Indiana. 83 blue 110 from a trailer park near Syracuse, New York. Fully suspended 85 200S, previously owned by PJ Hart. I bought it from PJ in Illinois, but apparently it's made the rounds. Captain Wheezy has owned this at one point. It's got a PK suspension kit in the rear and a Terry kit in the front to stretch out the forks to make them longer. This Big Red, my buddy Derek helped me buy. It's got an 85 tank, but it's an 86, and it's going to be a donor for a project that's coming up. It's a really nice machine. I'm going to steal parts off it, but it's all worth it. Stay with me. But this came from out near Syracuse. This came from in Missouri. A buddy of mine sold this to me, and I had it shipped over to Trike Fest, picked it up at Trike Fest. This came from Ohio, picked it up at Trike Fest. This I bought from my buddy Red Mike at my event 2 years ago. And then 1 year ago, Swamp Outlaw and Shred 80 came out, and we jacked it up and sunk it in a couple different ponds, and it doesn't run the same now, but it's got a couple issues I got to iron out. But Red Mike is out of Connecticut. It is a complete debacle, that's for sure. I'm finding these Easter eggs everywhere. I'm glad I'm finding them on camera. 1984 TRX 200. I grew up on one of these. My dad had the 84 Big Red and this, and put a lot of miles on one of these. This is also a Kids Fund giveaway. I've got to do a couple things to it and get it ready to rehome. So that's the 86 TRX 200 SX. So neat machines. And then there's projects. There's A+ frame 70s in here. There are 350X frames waiting for, 40 free hours of time to turn into riders. There's Big Red frames. There's more frames under here. There's a 71, no, not a 71, 81 ATC 70 that needs some restoration. There's stuff everywhere. There's a 185S tucked back there in the corner. A couple 90s under that shelf. 250SX front end. Another 75 90 right here. Another US 90, seen better days. A TRX 125M. Blue Honda sign. This Honda sign is a 6 foot by 6 foot chiclet sign. Let's go into my shop and see what we find in there. Got a lot of spare parts that I keep for rainy days. This is where I work on my stuff, build stuff. This is the latest thing I built. We just did a video on this. This is a 190cc pit bike motor in a custom aluminum ATC 70 frame. It's been stretched 3 inches in the front, stretched 3 inches out the back. Ape tank, polished aluminum frame, custom suspended forks in the front, built for a customer who happens to be the guy that owns Jimmy John's Sandwiches. It's a beautiful, beautiful machine. If you want to see how it came together, check out that video. I'm working on this for my buddy Joe. He's been patiently waiting for me to get to this for him. Joe, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but we're working on it now. I had to leapfrog you, but it was for a good reason. But here's my shop. We're doing the whole tour here. I made this shop to be a woodworking shop, but in that time frame I went three-wheeler crazy. So I've always been three-wheeler crazy. It's just I had to rediscover myself. One I didn't talk about is my Mini R build. It's got a 4-stroke motor in it, and I called it a Mini R. What can you believe the nerve of me? People have pointed that out. If you don't think I should have, please comment and tell me, and I'll tell you why it's okay. But it's good. It's good because it's my machine. Oh my gosh. Look where we are. We're at the very beginning. I did all that talking, and I forgot to talk about my four-wheelers. So I got 7 of them here. My son's been doing a little rearranging on me, but I don't know. We'll start with the one I got first. You've heard me mention the New Jersey deal a couple times. So this one came out of New Jersey, 2018, and I was pretty pumped to have this because I had a blue and white one. I had a 91 when I was in high school. So I'd made some posts on Instagram that I was excited to have a blue and white one again. I wished it was a 91, but oh well. And the guy reached out to me, and he had a 91, and he sold this to me. And turns out he was in San Diego. He could not be further from me and still be in the continental United States. But in 2019, I brought that home. Let's see. I forget the order now. But the 93 300EX and the 1988 250X came from my buddy Ryan Cogswell. You've heard his name mentioned a couple times. Package deal. he was thinning things out, and I grabbed those from him. So I don't have the 87 250X. I don't know that I care. I'm not going to bust my butt to find one, but if one presented itself to me and it was reasonably priced and in good condition, all original, things like that, I would probably pick it up just to complete the set. This one, it took me a few years to buy this. The guy, Billy, that had this offered it to me, and he was trying to get me to trade him a big red and a 350X for it. And I said, that's would be a great trade for you, but not for me. And I held out, and eventually I picked this up for, I think, $6,000, maybe 6,500, or I can't remember, somewhere in there. He gave up on wanting three-wheelers, and I just paid him cash for it. I sold an 87 Big Red I had and funded this. And since then, I've bought new old stock fenders and seat and tires for it. So eventually I can make it all original. And this had, at the dealer put the silver rims on. So this has had the silver rims its whole life. So this is how it has been. So I like it without the black rims. This 88 came from near Pittsburgh. I traded an 86 Ducati 3 for this. And it was an even trade. The front tires are on backwards. I bought it this way, and I've never changed it. I want to at some point, just haven't done it yet. I loved these when they were... Still, they weren't even new when I was starting to read Dirt Wheels magazine and see these in it. I just love the red. But the white of the 89 has caught my attention. And earlier this year, I got the itch to get one, and I looked at an 89 at a place north of me a little bit, and it just wasn't the right deal for me, and I passed on it, and I made a video about that, if you saw that. And then awesome guy named Lauren from New Hampshire ended up reaching out to me, and he had this and said, you know what, I've got something else up my sleeve I want to get. So I brought this home a couple months ago, and I recorded a bunch of video on that. I haven't closed it out, so I really should do that. And that video will be coming out soon because I wanted to get these two together. So stay tuned for that. And there's one last machine I need to talk about. So we'll end on this guy. I've owned this machine second longest of everything in my collection. My 85 white 250R is the only machine I've owned longer than this. I bought this machine new in 1999. My dad had the idea. I was not riding my snowmobile, and he said, you know what? What's the hot four-wheeler right now? And I said, Dad, the 400EX just came out. It's like the replacement to the 250R, and it is bad to the bone. And he said, why don't we take your snowmobile down to the dealership and see what they'll give us for it and bring one of those home? And I said, are you serious? So that's what we did. And I was just telling my son, 1999, the summer, I got this in the spring, but in the summer, I bought the Nerf bars and the front bumper, and I put a White Brothers E-Series pipe on it, had it jetted. I forget what else. And one thing I didn't do was put suspension on it. And I went and raced it, and I realized suspension is very valuable. Here's a picture of me in 1999 buying this. Sales guy didn't know quite what to do. I was like, can I get a picture with you? And he shook my hand, but he was weirded out. And now the dealership, that's like standard operating procedure to take a picture and post it up on Facebook and do business. But we just did some oil changes and put the finishing touches on this so that can go to its new home. I don't know if we need to do an oil change on that or any maintenance, but it'd be a good time to do it since it's in the shop. And then the next thing I'm building is this 86 350X from my buddy Joe. So stay tuned for that. And then let's get this video closed out. I don't know how many machines I have, but I've showed you most of them. I just realized I didn't show you all of them because over at the house is 3 other 70s that we built. Can I zoom in on them? I did one for my wife, I did one for my daughter, I did one for my son, and wife, daughter, son in that order from right to left. That's about as much as I could zoom in, it looks like. So there's videos on all those, and they're not that old, so check them out if you're interested. That four-wheeler you're going to see on the right there is not mine. That's a leftover from the show we just had. My buddy's got to come pick that up. But while I've got you here, I'm realizing I didn't talk about these fat cats. We got an 86 on the left from Western Pennsylvania. We got an 87 on the right from my buddy Toby's collection. 2-year only machines. They're fun to ride, but they're a little derpy, if that's a word. And that brings us to the end. I just want to take the opportunity, since I had these all out and kind of spread before I tucked them back in for hibernation, I figured I'd share them with you. This is where my dad used to store his cars. I've converted it. I had to build that wall to make the shop, but this room is now kind of a hangout spot for my buddies when they come and do trike stuff with me. But thank you for watching. Coming up, you'll be finding a video from the event that I mentioned, WheelerPalooza. I didn't get any footage myself, maybe a little bit. So I'm going to rely heavily on my friends who took video and took pictures, and we'll put something together, and it'll be something to watch, I'm sure. It's our 4th annual one doing that, and it's grown every year. We're up over 300 people now, and it's just a fun time. So anyway, that's the tour. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments. Thank you everyone who watches the channel, who has subscribed. We just hit 20,000 subscribers, and it's been fun watching those numbers tick up. It's been consistent, and I'm really appreciative of all of you. And if you want to help the channel grow and you're not subscribed, please do. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us out a lot. Share this. If you've got a friend who likes 3-wheelers and wants to see a bunch of them in one place. And that's it. We'll catch you later.